Welcome to rows to columns. So last time we just looked at doing it through a macro. Now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty and start typing or copying, pasting and everything. So first thing we're going to do is open up this link. I'll include it in the description as well as a link to the blog post. So you can do both or one or the other, it doesn't matter. So we're going to make a copy, and where we want to be is under extensions. Once this thing's done loading, there we go, extensions, app scripts. So it always puts in this sort of blank app script to begin with. So we're going to take that and get rid of it. Okay, let's go to the blog post. Here is our first thing we're going to put in. I'm going to copy that and paste that in. That is ugly. So I'll cover this in a later blog. The video gets a little extra, of course. We're going to format document, and that puts in the nice little tabs to make it look pretty. So you could see that these things are within this function. It just looks nice. So this basically says, okay, well, we're going to be using this thing called fixing data entered as the name of the function. So anytime I call this, I'm actually calling a function this. Okay, and we're not going to put any variables with it. That's a later problem. We're going to keep this pretty basic. Curly brackets, this is the beginning of the function, this is the end of the function. If you accidentally add in extra ones, it'll actually read, and when you try to save it, it won't even let you save. So it's pretty picky about things. This means this variable, spreadsheet, is not going to change. Why do I bother using it? It's a very small program. It's probably overkill, but we might as well get used to it. Spreadsheet is not changing in value. It's always going to talk about the one spreadsheet. So that's why it's going to be constant. We will do a variable next. So every time it sees spreadsheet, instead it's going to think of this. Get the active spreadsheet. So what's the active spreadsheet? Well, the spreadsheet app piece is an object, and objects hold a bunch of stuff. So if I type in drive app dot, these are all the methods hiding in here, all the different things I could do with drive app. And the same thing happens with spreadsheet. And you can see all the things you can do. So it holds everything inside there, all the methods. And that's what this is. This is a method. So this says, okay, this spreadsheet app, I want you to go get the active spreadsheet. Well, which one's the active spreadsheet? Well, it's the one the script is attached to. So we opened up the script through here. This is attached to the spreadsheet. So when it's looking at the active spreadsheet, it's going to look at this spreadsheet. If you were to make a copy of this, it would be to the copy. It always goes to the related spreadsheet. So that's how I like to use that one. And the next one is the same idea. Sheet's not going to change. Sheet is always going to be the same sheet. And use spreadsheet, so use this, but instead of typing that all out, we're just going to use spreadsheet, or else these are going to get extremely long and we're going to make a lot of mistakes. Go to spreadsheet, and under spreadsheet, I want you to go get the sheet by name, which is going to be sheet 1. Now, that capital S is really important. That's why it's so important to be in there. Okay, so that's everything it does. Now, inside the blog post, if we keep going along, it actually talks about that and puts in some really nice comments that I worked on. So comments are kind of tricky. You have to really include comments because it's nice, because 2 years from you now will be cursing your very existence because you didn't do it. And sometimes it helps you actually find errors because you sort of look back and go, oof, what was that? And you'll notice also, I better point this out, this Google Scripts is basically all these objects and methods, but at its heart, it's JavaScript. So everything's got to end with a semicolon to say, okay, do this, and then you're done this line. Okay, so don't leave these out. Sometimes the code will work without these. Most of the time, it'll do something bizarre that you can't really figure out because you forgot one of those. Okay, we're going to add in a little bit more. We're going to take all the data, we're going to load it into the memory. So you should never really play with the original data. You always want to pull this into memory, do something with it, and put it somewhere, because if this ever gets messed up and you can't get the original, you're in trouble. And yes, there's file revision, where are you? Version history, where you can pull back things, but that gets to be a pain. So always pull things into memory, modify them. Also, Google does not like you going into each of these cells and changing them. It takes forever and the scripts usually die, especially with huge pieces of data. It's perfectly fine with it loading up into memory, doing the work, and then putting it back down. So that's what we're going to do. Data is going to change because once we load into memory, we can make all the modifications we want and fix this up so it doesn't look this horrible. Oh, that's ugly. That's going to be a bit of work next blog. Okay, so here's the sheet. So sheet would be sheet 1. Get the data range. So that's kind of a neat function because it goes and looks at this and goes, oh, so from A1 to B21 is all the data. That's all I'm going to pull in. If you have another 50 people to add, slap them in and this thing will go, oh, it's from here to down here, and pull that in without any of the empty columns or rows. So it's a really neat function to just pull in whatever. You're not locked into a section. Now you could do, let's see, it's going to get mad at me, but that's okay. We're going to delete this in a second. I don't know, my caps got on. Var data equals sheet dot get range instead of get data range, and then you can put in your range if you wanted. So, but you can see the problem right away. I'm now locked in to a certain range, and then you have to do get values. I can't type today. As soon as your stuff goes outside of this, it no longer pulls it in. So that's not a great way to do things. This is much nicer. So this doesn't get the actual data. It just gets, oh, there's some stuff in A1 all the way to B21. It just gets the range. And then this is the piece that says, okay, now go in there and get the value. So get name, get Clara Whitfield, sorry. Get all the information and put it into this thing called data. And I think I've got a little, I got a little comment I'm going to put at the end there. This is going to be very exciting. We're going to save it, Control S or the old disk, and then run. Now it will save when you hit run. I just like to hit save a lot. You'll learn that too, especially if your Wi-Fi kicks out like mine does. So it's going to ask you to review the authorizations. Even though you wrote the script and it's in your account, you still have to authorize it. This seems really scary, but you can see the code, what it's literally doing. I just stepped you through what each one of these things does. So as soon as you put in the spreadsheet app, it triggers this, which is really, really big for what we're actually doing. We're just touching one spreadsheet and only that spreadsheet. I wish Google would be able to tone this down a bit because this is terrifying when you go to use somebody else's script and see, oh, my Google Sheets, it's just opening one. Anyways, continue. And wow, that was exciting. Our first script. Congratulations. It did look like it did nothing. It actually did a ton of things in the background, but it didn't show us anything. So what are some ways we can see things? So we're going to go to my good old friend logger.log. I can't type. Okay, and then we're going to go grab the variable data and then end with a semicolon. So again, I can hit save, which I love to hit, but run will also save. Same with debug. And now you can see, what? All the information from the spreadsheet is now here with weird square brackets and commas. It's in an array, which we'll take care of next blog post, don't worry. So there's the array setup of the data. So that's one way we can look at it. Really nice way if you're trying to see how the information is changing, or you want to see the structure of the array if you're not sort of getting it right. It's a really nice way to do things. Another way to do it is debugging. So right beside the 5, I'm going to click the purple dot and then hit debug instead. And so what this will do is this will go through all the lines and stop at 5. You can see it made it purple. Nothing comes in here, but it's got some stuff here. Okay, don't click on these two. They're just gobbledygook. Hit data. And you can see it starts counting at 0. That's going to become really important next time, next blog. And open that up. So 0, 0 would be name, 0, 1 would be address. Open it up. 1, 0 is Gia, and 1, 1 is their address. So you can see it's all in there in an array. We'll worry about that next go. So you can hit two things here. You can either continue, which Some people have really long scripts. They can just keep continuing and jumping to next purple dots, or you can stop it right there if you want, whatever your code or your debugging demands. And I don't think I've got a little comment. Nope. Okay, feel free to throw a little comment in what that does. And that's it. That's everything we wanted to show you. So how to get to talk to the spreadsheet, talk to the sheet, put the data into memory, some different ways to debug it, which we'll be using next go, because nothing ever is simple or straightforward, even though you think it is. And that's it for this one. So we'll see you next time, folks. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out.